I've played EA Sports College Football 25 and got a sneak peek at Dynasty Mode. Now that EA Sports has released the Dynasty Mode Deep Dive, let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? My name is Chris Vanini. I'm a senior writer for The Athletic. I've covered college football since 2009 and college football, the video game, for the last 3 years, and it's finally almost here, coming out on July 16th. In May, I was part of a select group of reporters and creators invited down to Orlando to test out College Football 25 and Madden 25. You can read about those experiences linked in the description below. Subscribe to the channel, as I'm going to start putting more videos about the games on this channel in the coming weeks. But we are here today to talk about Dynasty Mode, the real foundation of this game. I don't know about you, but this is what I'm looking forward to more than anything else. Gameplay is great. Road to Glory is fine. But Dynasty Mode is where we were forged as children, some of us, playing for days, weeks at a time, trying to get a big recruit, trying to get your MAC school into the Big Ten. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So let's go over what EA Sports has revealed, and I'll add what I've heard from talking to the people at EA Sports.
EA Sports College Football 25, back for another deep dive. This time we're talking about everyone's favorite mode, Dynasty. Online Dynasty in College Football 25 can accommodate up to 32 teams, and you can play with friends for up to 30 seasons. Today we'll take a closer look at the new 12-team college football playoff, recruiting, the transfer portal, and a ton of customization options to make your program unique. College football has seen seismic changes over the past few years. And in EA Sports College Football 25, you can experience this new landscape while building your program the way you want. The 2024 season marks the debut of the new 12-team college football playoff.
This is going to be a big change for everybody who's even a fan of the sport. Like, we've never experienced this before. Some of us might remember back NCAA football 2000, 2001, the old game. You could actually do a playoff instead of the bowl system. It was, I think, the top 16 teams, and the bowl games were the playoff games. But that's obviously not how it is in real life here. The top 4 seeds are all conference champions. Notre Dame is not going to get a bye. The number 2 SEC team is not going to get a bye. The first round is at home sites. All the bowl games are tied to specific conferences still. This is going to be a new experience for everybody. EA Sports spent a lot of time with the CFP people to make sure they got all these details right. And when you go through this for the first time in Dynasty Mode, it's a preview of how it's going to play out during the season.
And you can play it first in the game months before the real thing. You could be the first coach to lead your school through the new 12-team playoff and hoist the college football playoff trophy. Recruiting is the lifeblood of college football, and in a world of unlimited transfers, managing your dynasty.
Going to pause it right here for what I think is the funniest part of Dynasty Mode. You can search a player's social media history in recruiting. You can also DM them. I doubt you're going to find inappropriate tweets in their history, but that is pretty realistic. That is what a lot of coaches and staffs do. I think this is really funny. A lot of people had jokes about it. But look, that's pretty realistic. So props to EA Sports for that. Also, I don't think they mentioned it in the video, but athletes are back as a position in recruiting. They're usually good at like 2 positions. So athletes are back.
Roster has never been more important. Evaluate your needs and opportunities for talent upgrades at the start of each season. The best way to build a powerhouse is to recruit through the high school ranks. So let's fill up your recruiting board. Each year, over 3,500 high school recruits are generated from all over the country, with certain regions representing real-world hotspots for blue-chip talent, like South Florida and Metro Atlanta. Do research to find recruits that best fit your program and determine who you can realistically land.
That is a key point. Realistically land. The old days of a group of 5 team getting a 5-star player because you went all in on him, that's not going to happen anymore. That is unfortunately pretty realistic in how it goes. So just keep that in mind in recruiting.
A recruit's interest in your school is decided by 14 different pitch grades like proximity to home, playing time, and brand exposure.
Brand exposure is the stand-in for NIL, the people at EA Sports told me. NIL is not in Dynasty Mode. You cannot bid on recruits. I know that's kind of how it goes in real life these days, but that's still technically against NCAA rules. And NIL has been changing so much, even since when EA started making this game, that they didn't want to commit to one type of thing for NIL, only for that to change. So you're pitching a recruit on brand exposure, which is supposed to imply their ability to land NIL deals at your school.
So you'll need to discover how your program's pitch grades align with your recruits' desires, in addition to scouting for talent. Some players have a deal breaker requirement, and if your program cannot provide, the recruit will lock you out. Deal breakers also drive a player's decision to enter the transfer portal. Monitor at-risk players and get one last chance to convince your favorites to stay.
I really like this. You can keep an eye on players who you are worried may transfer, so you know ahead of time. I think that's a really cool detail to put in the game.
Track your recruits as they narrow down their top schools. Pitch a prospect to gain more interest, and then set up school visits when the timing is right.
Key point there, specific game visits matter. If you beat a bad team on your visit, that's not that big of a boost. If you lose to a bad team, that can hurt you. If you beat a really good team, that can really help you. So that really specific when you want to invite certain players to campus for games. Again, just like real life.
It's crucial to remain in their top 10, then 8, then 5 to finally be part of their top 3. As a recruit trims down to the top 8, you can attempt to increase your appeal. If your school doesn't have exactly what the prospect is looking for, you can try to sway their opinion in your favor. Plan visits that elevate a recruit's experience, like pairing a quarterback visit with a wide receiver visit at the same time.
And it's not just that. The people at EA Sports told me that if you invite 2 quarterbacks on the same weekend, that can actually hurt you, which again, I think is a pretty smart way to go about it. It's just you're going to have to be very careful and organized in how you plan these visits.
It's crucial to keep an eye on the transfer portal when it opens in the offseason to round out your roster with talent you couldn't land from recruiting.
So this is our first look at the transfer portal, and it works just like recruiting. There'll be another group of prospects that you have to split your hours between in that period and decide who's worth going for and who's not. Something I was told by the people at EA Sports, if you recruited somebody out of high school and did not land them and they end up in the portal a couple years later, they can remember you, which will help your standing with them if you try to recruit them again.
Add portal prospects to your board just like you would with recruiting, but expect quick decisions as transfers have a shorter timeline to land a new home.
One thing we were told, you cannot create a prospect in recruiting in Dynasty Mode. That's obviously an old feature that's not in the game this year. I got a lot of questions about that. No, create a prospect.
Conference realignment is a hot topic in college football. And with custom conferences in EA Sports College Football 25, Dynasty is yours to control. See what a 20-team super conference might look like, or revert to the traditional conference alignment. Shape the conference size and membership and set custom conference rules, set up divisions and more.
This is a really, really cool feature. Custom conferences is not just putting teams in other conferences now. You can set up divisions. You can name the division. You can take away divisions. You can play more conference games. You can play fewer conference games. You could play the conference championship game at a home field instead of a neutral site. That's a really lot of detail. I think is really cool. Also, all future non-conference games are scheduled out in real life and show up in the game. Even games into the 2030s, you can change and create new non-conference games, but you cannot put them at neutral sites. And obviously, if you have more conference games, you're going to lose non-conference games moving forward.
Once you've settled your conference options, it's time to select your team. Begin with a highly ranked team and dominate at the top.
Look at this. We've got Clemson in the MAC. Because when you change conferences, when you put a team in a new conference, they will not only get a jersey patch with the new conference, that conference logo will be on the field. In the old days, they just used to give you the old NCAA logo on the jersey patch. No, it's that detailed. People are going to have a lot of fun screenshots like this. You may put your rival in Conference USA or something like that, but that's another really cool thing.
Repeat recruiting and playoff success. Or build from the ground up with a smaller program and prove you have what it takes to go from an unknown to postseason favorite.
Which is how all Dynasty Mode should be. If you're unless you're a Clemson fan, you shouldn't be doing Dynasty Mode at Clemson. You should be starting as a smaller school or as a coordinator. That's how the real Dynasty Mode people like to play.
We can't talk about your dynasty without talking about your starting job. Start as an offensive or defensive coordinator and climb the ranks to head coach, or take over a program as the head coach right away. Choose from one of the 3 base coaching types to start.
This is another really cool way to start. Motivator, recruiter, tactician. Each one has its own positives and negatives. That's how a lot of real coaches are. This goes for if you're a head coach or a coordinator, but I like that and the ability to kind of expand from there.
Your coach type will determine what coaching skill tree you start with. From there, the abilities you acquire as you progress will determine what...
Real quick, why does this Michigan coach look like Pedro Pascal? Just me? Am I the only one who knows? That seemed kind of weird.
Kind of coach you develop into. Unlock additional skill trees with better abilities. Or, if you build up multiple skill trees, you can unlock hybrid trees that leverage a more diverse skill set.
So I'm curious how many people will care about all of this. It kind of feels like the further gamification within the game. I mean, a lot of people, we just want to do recruiting. We just want to do the season. I don't know if we're going to care about coach points and all these other things. A lot of people will, I'm sure, but I'm sure a lot of people, especially those who haven't played video games in quite a while, who are coming back, may not care about this. And if you don't, how much time does it take up? How beneficial is it? Does it hurt you if you don't pay attention to that? We don't know. I mean, we'll have to see when we find out. But that's like this is where things get a little quite intricate that I don't know if people are going to care about as much, but we'll see.
The coaching carousel is an important part of every coach's journey. Whether you're the head man at your dream school or working your way up, the carousel is your way of fielding offers from other programs. Head coaches in Dynasty can actively manage their coordinator position.
That's right. You can fire your coordinators for the first time in this game. You can also hire them away from other schools. That's a fun little new feature. When you're hiring coordinators, you probably want to get guys who fill the weaknesses you have as a head coach. But again, everybody can do that whatever way they want. Also, the coaching carousel now lasts 5 weeks. Goes from conference championship week to the end of bowl season. So just because you don't get a job offer in the first week doesn't mean you won't get one. There will be a domino effect, just like the way it plays out in real life.
So if one of your staff takes a job elsewhere, or you decide to cut ties for other reasons, you can use the carousel to replace them. Remember, even the greatest coaches need support, and every coach has a unique skill tree. It's important to think about how you want to build your staff, whether that's doubling down on your existing strengths to max out your benefits or seeking out balance for a well-rounded staff. Choose wisely. The decisions you make here will matter to your program's success and your coach's progression. The benefits of coach talents are stackable. So if your head coach and defensive coordinator have the same ability, the impact for that ability will be greater. Well, that's it for today's deep dive into Dynasty Mode.
So something we didn't hear about with Dynasty Mode is Team Builder. EA did say that you can add up to 16 Team Builder teams into online Dynasty, and you'll have to pull out existing FBS schools for that to happen. But that's it. The people at EA I have talked to have been very tight-lipped about Team Builder. I do not know when the Team Builder site will go live. I know that is obviously important to a lot of people. But that's it. So that is Dynasty Mode. I think it looks great, but we won't fully know until we get our hands on it. I'm curious how time-consuming some of these things are going to be, like recruiting, like the coaching skill trees and whatnot. Some people live to get into that intricacies and that deep stuff. Other people don't. There really is no way to make a perfect game for everybody. But I'm excited to get my hands on it, try it out soon here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as I put together more videos on the game moving forward. And thank you, everybody, for watching. See ya.